Okay, I don't know. Okay, so am I just good to go?
Yep.
Okay, so imagine this. You're just laying in bed in the middle of the night, and next thing you know, your high school history teacher is standing over you, telling you to get up and saying, "Come on, we gotta go. It's bagel o'clock." Now, this was my reality back on my mission trip in April of 2019. For a little bit of backstory, I was super excited and I got selected to go on my high school mission trip to the Mississippi Delta in Clarksdale, Mississippi. They didn't really give us a whole bunch of background on the town or what we would be doing, but we just learned a little bit of history going in. We knew that this was going to be a lot different than small town Paxton, Illinois. So it's about a 6 hour drive. So, we're driving down there, and the closer we get, the later it gets into the evening. And as we're getting close to Clarksdale, some of the familiar things that we see around small town Illinois no longer were resembled. For example, the McDonald's had bars over the windows, and it kind of get a little sketchy. So as we get to our house, it's in a very, for lack of a better term, sketchy neighborhood. So for a little bit of another background information, Clarksdale, Mississippi is split into two different communities. On one side of the railroad tracks is the predominantly white neighborhood with mansions and fancy cars, and on the other side of the railroad tracks is the predominantly black poor neighborhood with tarps as roofs. As you can tell, we were staying on the other side of the railroad tracks with the poorly constructed houses, and we were really going to be there to help the community. So as we got settled in our house, our group leader came up and he started to give us a set of rules. By this time, it was like midnight, things were kind of uneasy because as you come from a small town in Paxton, Illinois, we don't really know that kind of situation or what to do. So he gave us a set of rules. To start off, he said, never go anywhere alone, especially after dark, which we were like, okay, like that kind of makes sense. And then he was like, girls, you always have to make sure you have a boy with you. And we're like, okay, like this is still kind of weird, but like, okay, whatever. Because we're all juniors and seniors in high school. And then he started to set in a little bit more on the like, if somebody comes up to you, you can't just act afraid because you might not be comfortable with how they looked or how they act around you. You have to act confidently. And we were like, oh boy, what are we getting ourselves into? And so the last two rules or like advice he gives us was A, don't be scared if you hear gunshots because it happens. And B, don't be scared because there are bullet holes in the wall. And then he said goodnight and led us all to go to bed. So needless to say, I called my mom that night and I was like, Mom, I don't know what I'm doing. I am like scared out of my mind. And so she kind of, I'm sure she was a mess too because she had just sent her daughter halfway across the United States to somewhere that she was not comfortable, but it was okay. But yeah, so once we got settled in, the morning was completely different. We started out our morning by going to a homeless shelter and preparing food and meals for the day. And that was super inspiring just to see how we could touch so many people. In the afternoon, we actually ended up going to an after school program and getting to teach little kids. My little girl, I got to help her read, and it was actually super exciting because again, I don't want to offend anyone or anything, but the little girl had never seen red hair before, and she thought that I had dyed my hair. And I was like, no, like, this is me. Like, this is you, this is me. And all of the kids were just so astonished because they had never seen somebody with red hair before. And that's where it kind of all clicked that, like, you would expect these things out of a foreign country, but it's so crazy that, like, this is happening in America. Like, it's just weird. And like, again, like the city was divided down the middle. And the whole thing in the United States, is to be equal and to love each other and to treat each other with respect and kindness and equality. And it was just eye-opening to see that, like, in America, like, we're still not doing that. Like, the kids on one side of the neighborhood had their school that they went to, and then the kids on the other side had like a different school and they could not intercross. And like that, like, still to this day, like, absolutely blows my mind. But back to like our stuff that we did on the mission trip, we actually got the opportunity to work in 2 different houses. And in our week that we were there, we completely gutted and redid one of the houses and got to meet the family that was going to be able to move into the Habitat for Humanity house. And then one of my favorite things was just to connect with the community. After we had got done working and redoing the houses every day, we got to go back to the Humanity house, the house we were all staying at, and play with the neighborhood children. And that was really just something that opened my heart and my eyes to being able to accept and expect everyone is different, but just being able to come together was absolutely like eye-opening and amazing. Like I cannot tell you enough. Like I met this little boy down there. His name is Dooley. He was like 7 years old. He only had one pair of shoes and they were hot pink Barbie flip-flops. And like that just, it still blows my mind. But like they were some of the sweetest kids that I've ever met. Like I'm like speechless, and I'm gonna give you a speech about it, but it was just so like eye-opening and life-changing, as silly as that may seem, just to be able to form those connections with that community. And then so I was actually planning on going back my senior year, but sadly, because of COVID, we were not able to go back. But I'm super excited that I'm going to be going on a trip next week and the week after that, and we're going to stop in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And I get to see all my little friends that have grown up now, and I'm just super excited to see the community and to go back down there and just to know that I'm changing and helping somebody get through a difficult stage really is something that I pride myself on, and that just being able to open my eyes to different opportunities and different people with different backgrounds has really been something that has led me that has like allowed me to grow as a person, just to be open to understanding. And I hope that everyone can be understood in their place in this world and just know that come together, and then so that we all can love each other and help build each other up.
Good job.
Sorry, that was kind of a mess, but it's okay.
No, you did wonderful.
That was great. That was great.
I talk really fast when I get nervous, but
it's okay.
That was
Super
good.
inspiring.
That was a really good story.
Yeah, that was very heartfelt.
yeah, it's definitely something I'm passionate about. So
On you.
All
That
right,
was
who's
really good.
thank you.
I can go next if
Okay.
nobody else wants to. Okay. I did not know we needed